He appeared from the shadows like death itself, white hair glowing under the streetlight, and said 5 words that changed her life forever. You belong to me now. 3 days ago, she was called nothing by the man she loved. Tonight, she was claimed by the most dangerous creature to ever walk the earth. And her ex was about to learn why you should never throw away what a vampire king decides to keep. She stood in tattered clothes on a rain-soaked Chicago sidewalk, her belongings scattered at her feet like trash. He laughed from the doorway and said, "You will always be nothing." But the universe has a wicked sense of humor, and fate was already sending her something ancient, powerful, and absolutely unforgiving. Rosalie wiped mascara-stained tears from her cheeks as Derek slammed the apartment door behind her. 3 years she had given him. 3 years of paying his bills while he chased failed business dreams. 3 years of shrinking herself so he could feel tall. And this was her reward. "Good luck surviving out there," he called through the window, his new girlfriend already draped over his shoulder like a trophy. Nobody wants damaged goods, Rosalie. You were lucky I even kept you this long. She grabbed her single suitcase and walked into the November rain. Her heart shattered into a million pieces she was too tired to collect. Across the city, in a penthouse that overlooked the glittering skyline, Cale Thornwood stood at the window with a glass of bourbon in his hand. His white hair fell past his shoulders like fresh snow, and his pale eyes held centuries of secrets. He was 1,000 years old, and he had seen empires rise and fall like waves against the shore. A massive white wolf named Ghost lay at his feet, yellow eyes watching everything with an intelligence that made most humans uncomfortable. "Tell me, Ghost, is it too much to ask for something interesting to happen?" Ghost lifted his head and howled softly, as if answering. Outside, the rain intensified, and somewhere in that storm, 2 paths were about to collide in ways neither could have ever predicted. Now hold on, if you are already hooked and want to see what happens when Rosalie crosses paths with the most feared vampire king in existence, you need to subscribe and join this Vampire Love Stories family right now. I see you watching. Do not ghost me. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from, because I genuinely want to know which corner of the world is enjoying this story with me tonight. And let me ask you this. Have you ever been told you were nothing by someone who did not deserve you? Tell me in the comments. Rosalie found shelter under the awning of an abandoned warehouse near the riverfront. Her phone was dead. Her wallet held exactly $14. The rain had soaked through her thin jacket, and she was shivering so hard her teeth chattered like a drum roll. That is when she heard the screams. 3 men had cornered a young woman in the alley across the street. Rosalie knew she should run. She knew she was no hero, but something inside her, maybe the same foolish hope that kept her alive, made her scream out, "Hey, leave her alone!" The men turned, they smiled, and suddenly Rosalie realized she had just made herself a target. "Well, well," the largest one said, stepping toward her. "2 for the price of 1 tonight, boys." Rosalie stumbled backward, her heart pounding against her ribs like a caged bird. This was it. This was how she died. Alone, forgotten, nothing, just like Derek said. Then the temperature dropped. It happened so fast that Rosalie thought she imagined it. One moment the men were advancing, the next a figure stood between them and her, white hair glowing under the flickering streetlight like a halo made of moonlight. Cale Thornwood did not run. He did not rush. He simply appeared, as if the shadows themselves had delivered him. "Gentlemen," his voice was smooth, almost playful, but underneath it was something ancient and terrifying. "I was having a rather dull evening until I heard this lovely woman scream. I suppose I should thank you for the entertainment." The leader pulled a knife. Back off, pretty boy. This ain't your business." Cale tilted his head and smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who had already decided how this would end. "You see, that is where you are tragically mistaken," Cale said, removing his gloves 1 finger at a time. "I have walked this earth for 1,000 years. I have torn down kingdoms and salted the earth where my enemies stood. I have waited generations to repay insults that your great-great-grandfathers would have forgotten." He stepped closer, and the air around him seemed to hum with power. "So when I see 3 pathetic excuses for men threatening a woman on my streets, in my city, it absolutely becomes my business." The leader lunged. What happened next made Rosalie cover her mouth to keep from screaming. Cale moved like liquid lightning.
He caught the knife mid-swing, snapped the leader's wrist like a twig, and had him pinned against the brick wall before his companions could even blink. "Run," Cale whispered to the other two without turning around. "Tell everyone what you saw tonight. Tell them the Thornwood Mame. Tell them I am always watching, and tell them if I ever see your faces again, I will not be this merciful." They ran so fast they left their shoes behind. Cale released the leader, who crumpled to the ground whimpering. Then he turned to Rosalie, and his expression shifted from predator to something almost gentle. "Are you hurt, love?" Rosalie could not speak. She could not move. She had just witnessed something impossible, something terrifying, something magnificent. A soft bark broke the silence. Ghost emerged from the shadows and walked directly to Rosalie, pressing his massive white body against her trembling legs as if to say, "It is all right now. You are safe." Cale watched this with raised eyebrows. "Well," he said softly, "that is interesting. Ghost does not like anyone." The wolf looked up at Rosalie with those golden eyes and licked her frozen fingers, and for the first time in 3 years, Rosalie felt like maybe, just maybe, she was not nothing after all.
Rosalie pulled away from Ghost and took 3 steps backward. Her mind was racing, trying to process what she had just witnessed.
What
are you? She whispered. Cale straightened his coat calmly, as if he had not just moved faster than humanly possible. "I believe the more pressing question is, what are you doing wandering these streets alone at midnight, soaking wet with nothing but a broken suitcase? That is none of your business." "Ah, she has fire." Cale's lips curved into an amused smile. "I do appreciate fire. It makes things far less boring." Rosalie shook her head. "Thank you for saving me, but I need to go." "Go where, exactly?" The question hit her like a punch to the stomach. She had nowhere. No family, no friends who had chosen Derek's side, no money, no plan. Ghost whined softly and nudged her hand again. "Your wolf seems to disagree with my departure," Rosalie said, her voice cracking despite her attempt to sound strong. "Ghost is not a wolf. He is a very old friend who happens to prefer fur over conversation." Cale studied her with those ancient pale eyes. "And you, mysterious woman with $14 and a stubborn spirit, have made me curious. How do you know I have $14? "I know many things." He gestured toward the street. "My car is waiting. I'm offering you shelter for 1 night, warm food, dry clothes. Nothing more, nothing less. And why would you do that for a stranger?" Cale's expression flickered with something unreadable. "Because 1,000 years ago, someone offered me shelter when I had nothing. I never forgot that kindness, and I never forgot the face of the man who later betrayed that kindness either. I repaid him eventually. Took about 400 years, but I am patient." Ghost barked once sharply, as if telling Rosalie to stop being stubborn. She looked at the wolf. She looked at the impossible man with white hair and ancient eyes. She thought about the cold, the rain, the nothing waiting for her out there. "1 night," she finally said, "and your wolf stays close to me." Cale smiled, and this time it almost reached his eyes. "His name is Ghost, and love, I do not think you could separate him now, even if you tried." The penthouse was nothing like Rosalie expected. She had imagined cold marble and sterile emptiness, the kind of space that screamed wealth without warmth. Instead, she found herself surrounded by centuries of history. Ancient paintings lined the walls, bookshelves stretched to the ceiling, filled with leather-bound volumes that smelled like forgotten libraries. A fireplace crackled in the corner, casting dancing shadows across Persian rugs that probably cost more than every apartment she had ever rented combined.
Is this your home?
"This is your home?" she breathed. "One of them." Cale poured 2 glasses of wine and handed her one. "I have learned over the centuries that having multiple exits is wise. Enemies tend to accumulate when you live as long as I have." Ghost immediately claimed a spot on the massive sofa and looked at Rosalie expectantly, patting the cushion beside him with his paw. "He wants you to sit," Cale observed with amusement. "I have never seen him this attached. It is almost offensive. I raised him from a pup." Rosalie sat beside Ghost, and the massive white wolf immediately laid his head in her lap. His warmth seeped through her still damp clothes, and she felt something loosen in her chest. When was the last time anyone wanted her close? When was the last time she felt safe enough to simply sit?
"You can shower and change," Kale said, gesturing toward a hallway. "There are clothes in the guest room. They belonged to my sister." Belonged? Something dark passed over his face. "She died 3 centuries ago. A rival family thought they could hurt me through her." He took a long sip of wine. "They were wrong. All hurting her did was ensure that I spent the next 200 years hunting every single member of that bloodline. The last one died in 1847, begging for mercy I did not possess. Surely she should have been horrified. Instead, she understood. Someone hurt you through her, and you made them pay. I made them regret every breath they ever took." Kale met her eyes. "Family is everything, Rosalie. It is the only thing worth killing for, and the only thing worth dying for." She looked down at Ghost, stroking his soft fur. "I do not have any family, not anymore." "Then you build one." Kale sat across from her, his ancient eyes suddenly soft. "That is what I have learned in 1,000 years. Blood does not make family. Choice does. Loyalty does. Showing up when the world is falling apart does." Ghost lifted his head and licked Rosalie's chin, making her laugh for the first time in months. "See?" Kale smiled. "Ghost has already chosen you, and his judgment is better than most humans I have met." Rosalie felt tears burning behind her eyes. She refused to let them fall. "Why are you being kind to me? You do not know me." Kale leaned forward, his white hair falling across his shoulders like silk. "Because I see something in you that you cannot see in yourself yet, and I am very patient when it comes to things that interest me." The fire crackled. Ghost sighed contentedly, and Rosalie realized that for the first time in years, she did not want to run. She wanted to stay. Rosalie emerged from the shower wrapped in a silk robe that felt like clouds against her skin. The guest room had clothes laid out on the bed, simple but elegant pieces that fit her perfectly. She wondered about the sister who once wore them, the woman who had been loved so fiercely that her death sparked centuries of vengeance. When she returned to the living room, she found Kale standing at the window, staring at the Chicago skyline with a faraway look in his pale eyes. Ghost lay at his feet, but immediately rose and padded over to Rosalie, pressing against her legs like a guardian. "Tell me about her," Rosalie said softly. "Your sister." Kale did not turn around. Her name was Violet. She had hair the color of autumn leaves and a laugh that could fill any room with warmth. His voice was quiet, almost tender. "She was the only person in this world who saw me as more than a monster. When our father tried to kill me for being different, she hid me. When the villagers came with torches, she lied to protect me. She believed I was good, even when I had given up believing it myself." Rosalie moved closer, Ghost following like a shadow. "What happened to her?" "A family named Voss wanted my territory. They knew they could never defeat me in direct combat, so they took the coward's path." His jaw tightened. "They poisoned her, made it slow, made it painful, and they sent me her letters begging for help, one each day, while I was trapped in a tomb they had buried me in." Rosalie's hand flew to her mouth. "By the time I clawed my way out, she had been dead for 3 weeks. Kale finally turned, and his eyes held 1,000 years of grief. "I found her grave first, then I found them, and I took my time, Rosalie. I took generations worth of time." The room fell silent except for the crackling fire. "I am sorry. I am so sorry." "Do not be sorry. Be warned." He stepped closer to her. "I do not forgive. I do not forget. And I do not allow the people I care about to be harmed, ever again." Ghost whined softly, and Kale's expression shifted. "Now," he said, his voice gentle but firm, "tell me about the man who put those shadows in your eyes. Tell me about Derek." Rosalie felt her walls crumbling. Maybe it was the warmth of the fire. Maybe it was the way Ghost looked at her with unconditional acceptance. Maybe it was the fact that this ancient, terrifying, beautiful creature had just shown her his deepest wound. "I met Derek when I was 22. I was working as a nurse at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, pulling double shifts to pay off my student loans. He was charming. He made me feel special. He said all the right things. She sat on the sofa, and Ghost immediately put his head in her lap again. It started small. He said my friends were jealous of us, so I stopped seeing them. He said my family did not understand our love, so I stopped calling them. He said I was too good for my job, so I quit and supported his dreams instead. Tears rolled down her cheeks now, and she did not bother wiping them. By the time I realized what was happening, I had nothing. No friends, no family, no career. Just him. I laughed bitterly. And then he found someone new, someone younger, someone who had not yet been hollowed out by his manipulation. Kale knelt before her, his white hair falling forward as he gently lifted her chin with one finger. "Look at me." She met his ancient eyes through her tears. "He did not hollow you out, love. He tried. But you are still here. You are still fighting. You screamed at 3 armed men to save a stranger." His thumb brushed a tear from her cheek. "That is not nothing. That is everything." Ghost licked her hand in agreement. "The man who did this to you," Kale said quietly, "does he know where you are?" "No, I don't think so." "Good." Something dangerous flickered in Kale's eyes. "Then he will not see me coming." Rosalie grabbed his hand. "No, please, I do not want more violence. I just want to move on." Kale studied her for a long moment. "Very well, I will respect your wishes. For now." The way he said it made Rosalie understand that Derek's safety was temporary, borrowed time that depended entirely on her continued mercy. And strangely, that made her feel more protected than she had ever felt in her entire life.
They ended up on the floor in front of the fireplace, a pizza box open between them like some ridiculous human ritual Kale pretended to find confusing. "So you are telling me," he said, holding a slice, "that in this century, humans willingly pay extra for someone to bring this to their door instead of hunting for their own food." "It is called DoorDash," Rosalie laughed. "And yes, welcome to modern America." Ghost lay half on her lap, half across Kale's feet, like he was physically stitching them together. Every time Rosalie shifted away, Ghost huffed and nudged her right back. "You are spoiling him," Kale said. "He is spoiling me." Kale watched her as she ate, as she relaxed, as the lines around her eyes softened. Without the smudged mascara and ragged clothes, she looked radiant. Not in the perfect, polished way of the rich women he had seen for centuries, but in a quiet, luminous way that came from surviving hell and still choosing kindness. "What are you thinking?" she asked, catching him staring. "That my evening has become significantly less boring," he said smoothly. Then softer, more honest, "that you deserve so much more than what the world has given you so far." Rosalie looked down at the crust in her hands. "I do not even know who I am without him, without Derek. It is like he rewired my brain." "Then we rewire it back," Kale said simply. "You liked being a nurse?" "I loved it. Being there when people were scared, helping them, holding their hands, explaining things in simple terms. It made me feel useful." "Useful is not the same as valuable," Kale said. "You were valuable long before you ever put on scrubs." Her eyes glistened. "You really believe that?" "I do not waste my time on nothing, Rosalie," he smirked, "and I am very, very protective of what I claim as mine." She swallowed. "And what am I to you?" The question hung in the air, fragile as glass. Kale reached out and tucked a damp strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her skin. "At the moment," he murmured, "you are my unexpected complication, my favorite one in a very long time." Their faces were close now. Ghost lifted his head, ears twitching, as if he could feel the electricity crackling between them. Kale could hear her heartbeat racing. He could smell the storm still clinging to her skin, the faint sweetness of the soap she used, the salt of her drying tears. "I should not be here," she whispered. "I should not feel this." "Why? Because some foolish boy told you you were nothing?" Her breath hitched. "You are in my home, sharing my food, wrapped in my sister's robe, with my oldest friend refusing to leave your side. Tell me again you are nothing, and I will personally spend the next century proving you wrong." A tear escaped, but this time it was not from pain.
Cale brushed it away with his thumb. His hand cupped her face, his white hair falling like a curtain around them, and for a second the world shrank to just the two of them and the steady warmth of Ghost between them. He could have kissed her. He almost did. Instead, he leaned in and pressed his lips to her forehead, a slow, deliberate promise. "You are safe here, for as long as you choose to be." Rosalie closed her eyes, breathing him in, letting the words settle into the cracks Derek left behind. For the first time in a very, very long time, she believed them. And that was exactly why it would hurt so much when everything shattered. Rosalie woke up on the sofa with Ghost curled against her side and a cashmere blanket tucked around her shoulders. Morning light poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the city golden. Cale was gone. A note sat on the coffee table in elegant handwriting. "Business to attend to. Ghost will keep you safe. Make yourself at home. Kay." She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt the panic rising. This was too much, too fast. She had known this man for less than 12 hours, and already she was feeling things that terrified her. Already she was imagining a life she had no right to imagine. Derek's voice echoed in her head. "You are too needy, too broken. No one will ever want you." Her old phone, the one she thought was dead, buzzed from her jacket pocket. She had forgotten it was there. Somehow it had enough charge for one notification. Derek. "Rosie, I made a mistake. Can we talk? Please, I'm sorry." Her hands trembled. Ghost lifted his head and whined, as if sensing her distress. "It is okay, boy. I just need closure. I need to hear him say it, and then I can move on." Ghost barked sharply, a warning. But Rosalie was already texting back, already falling into old patterns, already believing that maybe if she just talked to Derek one more time, she could fix the broken parts of herself that made everyone leave. They agreed to meet at a cafe 3 blocks away. Just 20 minutes, just to talk. She told herself it was harmless. She told herself Cale would never even know. She was wrong. Cale returned an hour later with fresh coffee and pastries from her favorite bakery. He had spent the morning researching her, learning her preferences, planning ways to make her smile. What he found instead was an empty penthouse and Ghost sitting by the door, hackles raised, growling low in his throat. "Where is she?" Cale demanded. Ghost barked once, twice, then ran to the window overlooking the street. Cale's blood went cold. He saw her immediately, 3 blocks down, sitting across from a man in a coffee shop. The man reached across the table and grabbed her hand. She did not pull away. Every instinct Cale had spent 1,000 years honing screamed at him. Betrayal. Just like before. Just like always. He had opened his home. He had shared his sister's memory. He had let her see the parts of himself he kept buried for centuries. And she had snuck away the moment his back was turned to meet another man. Ghost whined and pressed against his leg, but Cale barely felt it. The ancient rage that had burned empires rose in his chest, mixing with something far more dangerous. Hurt. He was down the elevator and across the street before his rational mind could catch up. Rosalie sat across from Derek, realizing with perfect clarity that she had made a catastrophic mistake. He had not changed. The apology was hollow. He wanted money. He wanted her to co-sign a loan. He wanted to use her one more time, and she had been stupid enough to show up. "I need to go," she said abruptly. "Come on, Rosie, do not be like that." The cafe door opened. Cale stood in the doorway, white hair wild, pale eyes blazing with fury that made the temperature drop 10 degrees. Every person in the room felt it. Conversations stopped. Cups froze halfway to lips. Ghost stood beside him, teeth bared. "Rosalie." Cale's voice was soft, deadly. "How fascinating. You were making yourself at home, I see." "Cale, this is not what looks like." He laughed, and it was the cruelest sound she had ever heard. "It looks like you spent the night under my protection, ate my dead sister's clothes, and the moment I left you ran back to the man who called you nothing." Derek stood up, puffing his chest. "Who the hell are you?" Kale's gaze slid to him, and Derek immediately sat back down, survival instinct overriding bravado. I am the man who saved her last night while you slept soundly in the bed she paid for. I am the man who has ended bloodlines for smaller offenses than what you have committed against her. He turned back to Rosalie, and the hurt in his eyes was worse than any anger. I told you about Violet. I told you what betrayal cost me, and you, his voice cracked just slightly, you could not even wait one day before proving that I was right never to trust again. Kale, please, I just needed closure. Then you have it. He stepped back, every inch the ancient king, cold and untouchable. Ghost, come. The white wolf looked between them, whining desperately. Ghost, now. Rosalie's heart shattered. Kale, please, let me explain. There is nothing to explain. You made your choice. His eyes held 1,000 years of loneliness, and I have made mine. You are no longer welcome in my home. You are no longer under my protection, and you are no longer my concern. He turned and walked out, Ghost following reluctantly, looking back at Rosalie with the most heartbreaking expression. And Rosalie stood there frozen, realizing she had just destroyed the best thing that ever walked into her life. Derek cleared his throat. So, about that loan. She looked at him with disgust and ran out of the cafe, but Kale was already gone. The street was empty, and for the first time, Rosalie understood what true loss felt like.
3 days passed like 3 years. Rosalie went to the penthouse 17 times. The doorman had clear instructions. She was not allowed up. She was not even allowed in the building. She called. The number was disconnected. She waited outside in the freezing November cold, hoping to catch a glimpse of white hair or a massive white wolf. Nothing. She had found a shelter on the west side, a narrow cot in a room with 40 other women. At night, she clutched the silk robe she had stolen from his guest room, breathing in the faint scent of him, hating herself for ruining everything. Her old supervisor at Northwestern Memorial had been kind enough to let her pick up a few shifts as a temporary nurse while she got back on her feet. The work was exhausting, the pay barely enough for food, but it kept her mind busy. Except it did not. Every quiet moment she saw his face, the hurt in those ancient eyes, the way his voice cracked when he mentioned Violet. She had made him feel betrayed again. She had reopened a wound that took centuries to scar over. On the 4th night, she broke. She found out through a hospital colleague that Kyle owned half the real estate in Chicago, including a private estate north of the city. She took 2 buses and walked 3 miles in the dark to reach the iron gates. Ghost saw her first. The massive white wolf stood on the other side of the gate, ears flat, a low growl rumbling in his chest. But his tail wagged once, conflicted. Ghost, please, Rosalie whispered, gripping the cold bars. Please, I need to see him. I need to explain. The wolf whined and looked back toward the mansion. Then Kyle appeared, walking down the long driveway like a king surveying his kingdom. He wore all black, his white hair pulled back, his expression carved from ice. You are trespassing, he said coldly. Kyle, please, just listen. I have listened to enough lies in my lifetime. He stopped 10 feet from the gate, deliberately keeping distance between them. What part of you are no longer my concern was unclear. Rosalie's tears froze on her cheeks. I made a mistake. I know I did. But I was scared. I was scared of how much I was feeling for you after just one night. Derek texted me, and I thought if I could just get closure, I could move forward with you without all this baggage. So you lied to me. I did not lie. You snuck out of my home to meet another man without telling me where you were going. That is called deception, Rosalie, and I have killed for less. Ghost whined louder, pressing against the gate towards her. I'm sorry, Rosalie sobbed. I'm so sorry. Please, please give me another chance. Kyle's jaw tightened. For a moment, just a flicker, she saw the hurt beneath the anger. Then his walls slammed back up. No. Kyle, I have lived 1,000 years, and do you know what I have learned?
People do not change. They show you who they are in moments of pressure, and you believe them the first time. You showed me that the moment I turn my back, you run to the familiar pain instead of trusting the new possibility. That is not fair. Fair? His laugh was bitter. I opened my home to you. I shared my sister's memory with you. I was prepared to burn down the world to keep you safe. And you repaid me by proving that I was a fool to believe anyone could be different. Rosalie felt something breaking inside her chest, something vital and necessary. In her desperation, she made the worst decision possible. She pulled out her phone with trembling hands and held it up. Look at the messages. Derek was asking me for money. I told him no. I left after 5 minutes. I chose you, Kyle. I chose you. She thought it would help. She thought showing him the proof would make him understand. Instead, Kyle's expression turned to stone. You kept his number, he said quietly. After everything he did to you, after everything I offered you, you still kept his number saved in your phone. Rosalie's blood turned to ice. No, it was just, I forgot to delete. Get off my property. Kyle, please, get off my property before I forget that I once cared about you. His voice cracked like thunder, and the gates vibrated with power. Ghost howled, a sound so mournful it echoed across the empty fields. Rosalie stumbled backwards, her heart in pieces on the frozen ground. I love you, she whispered desperately. I know I have no right to say it. I know I've only known you for days, but I love you, and I will do whatever it takes to prove it. Kyle closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were empty. Love is not enough. It never has been. He turned his back on her. Ghost, come. The wolf looked at Rosalie one last time, his golden eyes filled with sorrow, then followed his master back toward the mansion. And Rosalie collapsed against the gate, sobbing into the night, understanding that she had not just lost a man. She had lost her chance at redemption. She had lost the only person in 1,000 years who had looked at her and seen something worth protecting. And this time, there was no one to blame but herself.
2 weeks later, Rosalie stood in the ballroom of the Chicago Hilton, wearing a thrifted dress and a name tag that said Northwestern Memorial Hospital. She was back working full-time, she had her own apartment, she was rebuilding her life, one small, brave step at a time. She had not seen or heard from Cale since that night at the gate, but every night she drove 20 minutes out of her way to leave a bag of Ghost's favorite jerky at the iron gates and a single note that said, I'm sorry. She did not expect him to ever see them. She just needed to do it. Derek walked across the ballroom with his new girlfriend on his arm. He spotted her immediately, and a cruel smile spread across his face. Well, he said, loud enough for the people around them to hear. Look who it is. I told you you would always be nothing. The room went quiet. Rosalie lifted her chin. I am a nurse, she said, her voice steady. I save lives every single day. I am more of a person than you will ever be. And then the temperature dropped. Every single person in the room turned toward the doorway. Cale stood there, white hair glowing under the chandeliers, Ghost at his side. He did not rush, he did not make a sound. He simply was, and the entire room felt his presence like a physical weight. He walked slowly across the ballroom, every eye on him. He stopped right beside Rosalie and put one hand gently on her waist. He did not even look at her first. He looked at Derek. Hello, Derek. His voice was smooth, almost friendly. I have been looking forward to meeting you. Derek's face went white. Every person in Chicago knew who Cale Thornwood was. Cale turned to Rosalie, and the hardness in his eyes melted away. I have been watching you, he said quietly, for 2 weeks. I watched you work 3 double shifts in a row. I watched you volunteer at the women's shelter on your day off. I watched you leave a bag of Ghost's favorite jerky at my gate every single night, even when you thought I would never see it. He took her hand. I told you people do not change. I was wrong. You did. You became the woman I always knew you were, and I was too proud and too scared to see it. He turned back to Derek. You told her she would always be nothing. Let me make this perfectly clear. This woman is the most important thing in the world to me. She is under my protection. If you ever so much as look at her again, if you ever so much as say her name, I will make you regret the day you were born, and I will take my time doing it." Derek stumbled backward and ran out of the ballroom without another word. Cale turned back to Rosalie. "I am sorry I turned you away. I am sorry I let my own ghosts make me punish you for someone else's mistakes. Will you forgive me?" Rosalie was crying now. "Will you forgive me?" He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that made her heart feel whole. "I already have. Ghost refused to let me be mad at you for more than a week. He brought me every single one of your notes. He knew you were worth it long before I did." Ghost nudged her hand as if to say, "I told you so." Cale kissed her then, slow and soft, right there in front of everyone. There are two great lies that people will tell you. The first is that you are nothing. The second is that some mistakes are unforgivable. The people who tell you you are nothing are just terrified that one day you will realize how much you are worth. And the people who truly love you will not love you despite your mistakes. They will love you because you are willing to spend the rest of your life proving you are worth forgiving. Rosalie did not need a vampire king to save her. She just needed someone to see that she had already saved herself. If you made it all the way to the end of this story, you clearly loved it. Don't ghost me now. Hit that subscribe button and join our Vampire Love Stories family. It takes you 1 second, but it means the world to me. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I read every single one. And if you thought this story was emotional, wait until you see the next one. It is even more twisted, even more romantic, and it will break your heart and put it back together again. Click the image on your screen right now to watch it.